All right, Eric Vickery, along with Dr. Ted Morgan, the master himself. How you doing, Ted?
I'm doing good.
We're going to do a monthly just coaching spotlight from a dentist who coaches dentists perspective and talk about just some hot topics that Ted and I both, I should say Dr. Morgan and I both interact with when it comes to other dentists out there and clients and things that we're hearing. Obviously, Ted has such a huge passion for supporting dentists. He's started Denvantage with partners. He's pouring back into this dental field from a standpoint of how can I give back. And I love that you're here willing to donate your time for a fireside chat. And so we'll do this every month. We'll do about 20, 30 minutes of a hot topic. And this month's topic is going to be from a leadership standpoint on making tough decisions. So just give some viewpoint, maybe some background, Ted, on maybe a story on a tough decision you made when it came to, all right, I've been through this as a dentist. I've had to make tough decisions. What pops in your head right away?
Um, well, we had an ongoing decision that we would be our practice would be fee for service,
Mm-hmm.
and years ago we um, opted out of Delta participation. This was back in the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
maybe longer ago, and there's a lot of fear that goes along with a decision like that,
Yeah.
and sometimes uh, team members wonder, why would you make a decision where you're now gonna, we're gonna lose all those patients that had Delta. Well, the fact was, when we did it, we lost very few patients at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but over time, what we saw was, and if you're doing something like this, you need to be realistic that the biggest effect wasn't lost patients. The biggest effect was not getting new patients who had Delta, because now you're not on the list.
Mm.
And so it's harder to get those patients in. But also, are those the patients you want?
Ah.
The patients,
Yeah. Yeah.
and some of them are great. Some of them are very insurance dependent, very insurance driven, and sometimes you can turn them around and sometimes you can't. But the what happened was, fast forward to 2011, and that was when the big crash of
Economy was bad.
2008
Yeah.
caught up with us.
Mm-hmm.
It took 3 years, and myself, my practice, and other people around me, friends of mine, we saw it, even in places in Maine where there's a major shortage of dentists. That's not my area, but other areas had that. We all saw a big drop in the practice,
Mm.
fewer new patients, smaller cases. It was hitting us. And so we were, looking at, we need to do something. I had an associate at the time, and we sat down and said, well, we need more new patients. And there was a lot of team members who thought, well, why don't we just participate in Delta?
Here's a great idea.
Yeah, there's
So then
thousands.
your next question was, okay, who's willing to take a 40% pay cut, right? Raise your
Yeah,
hand.
well, at the time, the cuts weren't that bad. I
Okay.
mean, they weren't anything like 40%. It was,
Yeah.
10 to 20. I don't
Okay.
know. I
Yeah.
don't know what it
15%.
was.
And Premiere, I think because you're talking about Premiere, and back then we could still do Premiere. Now PPO stuff, it's 42% on average. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know it's even worse now.
Even
But
worse. Yeah.
at the time, it wasn't that big a thing. But
Mhm.
we were not participating in Delta. We were just, if they had Delta, fine, we'd fill out, they send their claims in, but we're
Mhm.
still fee for service, and
Mhm.
we didn't accept assignment and all that stuff. But we needed new patients, and so there was some. Well, we could participate in Delta and get some more new patients, or what if we tried a membership plan? That was actually 2011 was when we said, go back to Delta or try this new idea, a membership plan. And we looked at everybody, and my people have been around on my team that have been around a long time, said, Delta, let's not do that. Let's
They'd been
try
there
this
before.
other
They'd
thing.
seen that. They were Old Testament. The New Testament team, they hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not going back to Egypt.
Yeah, they said, well, anything but Delta.
Yeah.
So, because it even back when we were still participating way back, a couple of things happened that was just like, we're never doing this again. They came into the office at one point. They said, we're here unannounced. We're here to audit your charts. I said, wait a minute. No, you're not. I said, no, you signed a contract. So yeah, they did that. And long story short, nothing came of it, but it was a huge aggravation. They sent me a letter that said we were violating this and that. And I said, if you just asked me a couple of questions when you were here, we could have avoided this. But anyway, it was just that plus the rule that they have. I don't know if they still have that. If you treat a Delta patient, and let's say they need a $25,000 treatment plan, and Delta's going to kick in 1,500 of it, you have to do the whole treatment plan for the Delta.
Always your fees. Yep. Once you're contracted, your fees for the whole patient. Yeah.
That literally happened, and that and that audit close together. It was like, no,
that was it for you.
We're done. So and we still remembered that. So
in this decision, I love that we're talking about this, because I don't think I've helped more dentists resign from any type of insurance in network, Aetna, Cigna, MetLife, all of them. I don't think, let me put it this way. More dentists have come to me to ask, I want to resign from insurance. What do I got to do to that? And we do an analysis and figure that out and make sure it makes sense and do it in bite-sized pieces, not your whole practice, so that we can succeed. I've never had a client go back on like you're talking about. We've never done that. But the things that I run into, and I would love for you to give them some advice. So here's a couple things. One, I had a client, she's in Maryland. She wants to resign from insurance. She has to financially, she has to resign from insurance. She's writing off 42%, as a whole, almost her whole practice. I think 75% of practice is in network. And it's just, there's no money left to pay the bills, right?
Right. You can't have your overhead be low enough to make a profit.
It won't work. It does not work. Yeah. You've got to be a conglomerate. You've got to be big to do that. And so I was like, we've got to resign from insurance. And the team was against it. So how would you, from a dentist to a dentist perspective, how would you coach that client? For those that are listening and watching this, how would you encourage them to say, okay, how do you address this with your team? How do you make the tough decisions as the leader to know, okay, this is the right business decision. How do I prepare my team for this and move forward?
Well, that's a good question. I can identify with the fear part.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it in the team. And I mean, my style is say, hey, I'm sitting in the seat where the tough decisions have to be made. The buck stops here. And, just show them the numbers. I think that the team needs to be involved with the actual numerical fact that this isn't going to work. And, you're worried if we lose these patients or you're going to be out of a job. Well, you're going to be out of a job if we see patients and lose money on every single one of them. But we're not here to have anybody lose their job. We all have the same goal in mind, that we want to keep our business intact, and we want to see our patients, and we want to be able to pay our bills and pay all of our employees and make a profit.
That's a great idea.
Share that together. And it's not if it was easy, everybody would do it. Right?
Everybody would do it. Wouldn't it be great if everybody did it? It would be so much. If everybody did it, it'd be so much easier for everybody else, because we wouldn't come out and feel like scarcity mentality. We'd have this abundance mentality to do it. So what would you say? I totally agree with that. State of the Union, share the numbers. I think that's a great idea. I'm taking notes. So what would you say? And just to come full circle with that client, I told the doctor, I was like, okay, so you're going to go do the verbal skills in every single meeting and talk to patients about how we're moving out of network. And now, by almost osmosis and them witnessing what she's doing on her own, they've bought in. They're now in,
Yeah.
and she's walking in the hygiene room. The hygienist has already had the conversation, and so she's feeling blessed in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. So
It's a good way to learn how to sell value in what you're doing. It's no longer, well, you're here because your insurance pays for it, so it's free to you. So let's just do it.
Mm,
It's like, okay, your patients aren't covered anymore or as much or whatever.
mhm.
Now they need to see enough value in it to actually pay for it. And now they're more engaged too.
Yeah.
It's a different page.
And I want to clarify something for people who are listening. So there's like HMO, DMO way down here where, oh gosh. And then you've got PPO, in-network participation, where you're writing off 42%, insurance check comes to you, and patient pays nothing at their hygiene visits, okay? Then you have out of network, but everybody's charged the same rate in your practice. But the insurance check will still come to you. The insurance outside of Delta and Blue Cross Blue Shield will still pay, for 100% for preventive services of their fee. There might be co-pays. And then there's fee for service, meaning patient pays the dental office bills the claim, insurance company reimburse the patient directly. And so when we say fee for service, we mean like patient paying and getting reimbursed. Out of network provider means, hey, we're still going to file your claim and still accept assignment of benefits. Is that about right from your perspective?
Yeah. And we've really gone to fee for service.
Yeah.
And not every insurance company will agree to pay the patient directly. They
Isn't that
still
funny?
send us the check.
Still send
And
it to
then
you.
we have to
reimburse the patient.
reimburse the patient, but we do that.
Yeah.
So we look at our numbers at the end of the month and, we got a lot of refunds here. That's a good thing in this case, because we're
That's right.
refunding to them the insurance money that came to us after
right.
they'd already paid it.
You're not chasing money. That's such a better thing. And
No.
the reason I bring that up is I speak to dental schools, and I had a young dental student ask me, he raised his hand, he's like, how do you even deal with insurance if you're out of network? I don't know if it's brainwashing or what's happening, but the thought process is, I can't even file insurance. I can't even play with insurance if I'm out of network. And I had to explain to him, like, no, out of network, the check still comes to you. In fact, they pay you for a vast majority of the fee when it's preventive. It's maybe a $20 copay for your patient. That's how it ought to be.
I've heard, I don't know from experience if this is true, but I've heard, I think Paula said that sometimes they actually pay more when you're on a network.
Absolutely, they do. So I have a client here in town. He was PPO with Delta. He resigned completely. And so that means the patient's paying at the counter now, and then the Delta check's going to the patient. Now, most of those Delta plans are going to pay 55 cents on the dollar. Okay, so they paid you 100, they're going to get 55 in the mail. There's one group in particular, the city, that is paying the whole fee. They got reimbursed everything. And so the doctor's been writing off 42% this whole time, and now it's dollar for dollar reimbursement. And he's like, wow. So when I'm in network, you're going to make me take less. So I try to explain to doctors, when you're in network, you're paying the insurance company or the patient 42%, 42 cents on the dollar. When you're out of network, the insurance company is going to pay you your cleaning fee. If you're charging $120 for a cleaning, you're going to get that check. Maybe they give you $115, and the patient's got a $5 copay. Yeah. Nobody's really going to complain about that, right? Yeah. So let's say we have a young associate listening right now. Okay, we'll spend a few more minutes on this. Young associate listening, and Uncle Ted is sitting in the room with them, and they're considering buying a practice, starting a scratch practice, and their mentality is, all right, I'm going to sign up for all the plans so I can get all of the patients sent to me, and then later I'll resign from it. And that way I get a lot of patients right now. Yeah. Would you agree with that? Would you disagree with that? What would your advice be?
I don't know. Do you like the idea of stepping in the shallow end of the quicksand pit, and then maybe you can still get out later, but maybe you're up to your neck already. I don't know. It's an increasingly difficult to get out of. The more patients you have, the more dependent you feel, the harder it is to get out. No, I would say form your vision. What practice do you want to have? Maybe it'll take longer. Maybe it'll take longer to get build up the momentum. But if you're building what you really want from the bottom up,
Yeah.
you're better off.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I always say, have patience to get patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reality is that means you gotta make your patients happy. You can't just, run them through a mill. They've got to know the value of what they're getting. You want them to leave your office saying, wow, I've never had, service like that. Never had an exam like
That's
that.
good.
Never had a cleaning like that. Never had somebody explain things to me that well. Because, if you're doing the PPO thing and you're taking 42% off, what are you doing? You're probably telling your hygienist, you can't have an hour. Nope, you need a half-hour appointment for everything. They can't do their job in a half hour. It just can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to run a different sort of a practice.
Actually,
And yeah,
what's happening is these providers, they want to provide quality care. They want to do all the things you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're doing hour-long appointments and they're getting paid 42%. I was like, well, you need to take 42% off your services. You need to, go down to 40-minute, 30-minute appointments. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. Well, something's got to give then, right? You got to pick one or the other. You can't be cheap and quality.
Yeah. You can't lose money and be quality.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So you go ahead.
Part of this is too, you're providing a service that's for a quality service for that patient, but at the same time, you're marketing. So that patient goes out and says, wow, that was great. They give you a 5-star review. They tell their friends.
Great idea.
Then that's part of your marketing. You have to realize that Delta would be happy to send you patients, and you don't have to market you don't have to pay anything to market to those, except that 42% you're going to lose on the other end. So you need to, I think, in most areas, probably need to think about a marketing plan and be ready to spend some money. Be ready to spend.
And the dollars that you'll spend in marketing pale in comparison to the amount you're writing off. I have a client, we just resigned from, and by the way, back to the quicksand thing, when you're over 50%, let's say 75% of your practice is insurance based and you're wanting to resign, we've got to go 20%, 15 to 20% at a time. We're not resigning from all those. It takes a long time to get out of network. And all these people are paying different fees for the same service. And it just doesn't seem fair and right. So the whole quicksand analogy is absolutely perfect. The client I just had, we are up $80,000 over last year in a 6-month period in a 1 doctor, 2 hygiene practice, a 4-op practice, and all from just making this change. We didn't, but we had to have insulators in place. And the reason for that is now he goes, oh, I can spend money on marketing. I don't need to spend $80,000 on marketing, right? No. But I could spend $2,000 a month on marketing and not feel like it's painful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm curious if you know the answer to this. This is more my spectrum. This might be rhetorical, but do you know why insurance companies take so long and make it so difficult to get out of network? Like, let's say we're resigning from Aetna. Okay, we'll pick on Aetna. And my doctor, we've done everything. We spent the 6 months. We're doing all the planning. And we send the notification to Aetna. Do you know why they act like they never get the letter or take forever to resign? Do you know why that is?
I can speculate.
What do you think? What do you think?
What organizations are easy in and difficult out?
Yes. Yes.
I'm thinking of cell phone plans, direct TV, real easy to get in, and man, it's hard to get out.
That's right.
That's just because they're making money off you.
That's
They
right.
don't want to lose it. They want to keep that flowing, and they're going to make it hard to get out.
That's exactly. They're going to actually pay more money to you when you're out of network. That's why they don't want you to be out of network.
Yeah.
So, and I share this with clients, and they're in network this whole time. I go, what do you mean? I go, just think for a second. There's got to be a plan that you're not in network with. How do they pay? Oh, they pay great. Okay. Well, they're all going to fall in that same line. Now, in this market of inflation and potential recession and all these things coming about, you could expect insurance companies to charge more and pay less. That's going to be a part of it. They're going to do that whether you're in network or out of network. Somebody's going to foot the bill. Is it going to be you, the insurance company, or the patient? So it should not be you. I'll put it that way. Is that fair?
Yeah. So another thing to talk about with this hypothetical young dentist
Yeah.
starting up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's not stepping in the quicksand is the value of the patient. This is a lot of dentists would never think of this, but the value of the patient with no dental insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most valuable patient you can have.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we've been conditioned to think, oh boy, this patient has great insurance. We can really, you know, we can get in and get some treatment done. And
Yeah.
nope, the patient with no insurance, and a lot of these people, potential patients, feel like, oh, I can't even go to the dentist because they don't have insurance. They won't let me in. We've
Yeah.
had many people come in thinking that.
Can I come see you if I don't have insurance? Yeah.
Yeah, they'll contact us on social media and ask us. So what we found out is that with a membership plan, they typically will end up with 2 or 3 or 4 times as much treatment as the average insured patient.
Hmm.
It's
Two to
dental
three. So let me make sure I understand. So patients without insurance spend 2 to 3, let's say 2.5 times more
on average. Yeah.
than the insured patient.
Yep.
Wow.
They really do. Insurance, dental insurance. Here's a dirty secret of the dental insurance industry.
Mm.
Dental insurance is designed to make the patients do less dentistry, not more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's an inhibitor.
I'll give you a perfect
Not-
example. Perfect example of that. Medicaid will pay, let's say, first of all, they don't pay for crowns. Like it's ridiculous. Let's say kids, right? But for kids, they'll pay $240 for a single tooth restoration, an occlusal. Sorry, single surface, an occlusal. $240. Then they'll pay $150 for a 2 surface. Then they'll pay $100 for a 3 surface. What's happening right now?
I don't know.
What? I'm dumbfounded. Or they'll pay per visit. They'll go $250 no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And so now you want to just see that patient a bunch of times, just over and over again. Do one little thing at a time, to get your $250 per visit.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
It's not, insurance is not built to build your practice and take care of the patient. It's built to make money.
For the insurance company.
For the insurance company. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got me all fired up, Dr. Morgan. Got me all fired up. So if you've watched this whole time and you've listened to us talk about this, I'll say this: Ted Morgan is here to coach you. He's here to offer his wisdom to you through coaching, through just got to reach out to us and we'll get you scheduled with him. And you can have monthly meetings with him. You can have one meeting with him and he'll mentor you and coach you and help in any way possible. We were just talking about this today because it was just our topic of choice, but everything from how to treatment plan, how to talk to patients, self-belief, self-talk, leadership, insurance, membership plans. It's all on the table, right, Ted?
Yeah.
I'm so happy you're
we'll
on the team.
We'll talk about whatever.
Yeah.
So I won't guarantee it, but I'll talk about it.
Love it. So All-Star Dental Academy, Vickery Coaching, we're here with a team of coaches to help support you to grow your practice in a healthy way. So thanks, Dr. Morgan, for joining us again.
All right. Thank you.